Um, Hello, my name is Gerhard Schreiber. I'm your instructor. You can also unmute. I think we all grown-ups and know how we should handle a meeting. Whenever you're not getting something or you don't see something, please feel free to immediately say something so that I can adjust and you see. Um, I hope everyone got the email I sent out with the files that we're using, and also with the syllabus is in there. And then let's see how we are and go from there. Everyone good so far? Okay, you guys are so quiet. I can't hear you.
I'm doing good, just.
Yeah. Any one of you has any experience with HTML, CSS, or something? No? Okay,
No.
awesome. That's why we are here. You all got the link to the files I had on Dropbox to download?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So, yes? Okay, I will, our class is in a couple of blocks, and I will always upload files for the next block. So now in the beginning, we do HTML and a little bit of CSS, and then we're having a framework with Bootstrap, and then we're trying get our fingers in JavaScript, and then WordPress. So we're building up step by step. Every one of you can see my shared screen with the syllabus there. Yeah, okay. Let's go through that one quick. Any other questions so far? Okay. Whenever you want to reach me, just use the email, the triber@cua.edu. It's the best way to reach me. I'm usually within a couple of hours that I respond. Going through our goals, learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and we're doing some WordPress. Then a tendency, I hope everyone makes it all the time, because we are building everyday new stuff with it. So technology. I will use Dreamweaver and Photoshop, and whenever we do something in the browser, I use the Chrome browser. Did you guys all sign up for Dreamweaver, for the Adobe package? Or you don't want to spend the 20 bucks?
I have it, so.
Okay. Dreamweaver is nice to have, but it's not a have tool. But it's really nice because you have the straight a preview of what you're doing. I also use Visual Studio Code, which is a free code editor you can download. There are tons of add-ons then you can load into it for different languages, for a live server and stuff. Sometimes I use that one, sometimes I use Dreamweaver. It depends on what I'm trying to build. So, and for us now in the beginning, it really doesn't matter what you're really using, as long you can write code in it and save it. So even a text editor would do, but it's nicer if you have the color coding you get from a code editor. So, and then they check for type errors that you have and other stuff. So it helps you learn HTML and CSS quicker and easier. Photoshop, we will only put our toes a little bit into it to learn how to resize images and the very quick brush up. So if picture is not good enough, so that we can resize and make it look kind of good for the web. So we're not doing a Photoshop class on it. Chrome browser is one of the leading browsers that they're on the web. There's also Firefox, it's really good. You can use whichever one you want, but I will use Chrome all the time and show you then with the inspector what is behind that a regular user will see, where you can try to find errors in your code on a live website. Then the grading, we have 4 projects. This pops up, sorry. We have 4 projects that I will assign pretty early in the code block I give you. So like Wednesday or next week, Monday, I will assign the project for HTML. But you have enough time, and while we're learning every class, you will understand every time a little more on what you should do. It's nothing too hard, too wild to build. So I don't want to stress you guys. I just want to push you a little bit forward with it. We also will have a short quiz and a final project. So then I also have the projects in here with the requirements to fulfill. I tried to give you guys a couple of questions that you can ask yourself. Did I consider all of that to make a good working website? Like for the first one here, is the structure of my website that I'm making logical, correct, so that the browser is not confused what to do with the blocks you're doing? Did I consider, like it says here, for section 508, so for handicapped people or visible impaired people, to have it easier with websites? It's a very big topic. We will only touch, but it helps immensely if you build a website that you get your Google rankings up, for example, because they are very nitpicky on that stuff. The next project will be something with Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a framework that helps you develop websites. It's from Twitter, and will they came up with a system to unify standards for the web. So before, everyone was cooking his own soup a little bit, and they kind of unified it a little bit. It's easier to understand and to take a piece of that website and put it in a different website. Sorry. The third one is we're getting a little bit dirty with JavaScript. So we're using JavaScript to change things on the website to make it a little interactive. I'm really not trying to make you a programmer. I'm just trying to see what you could do if you decide to look more into it. Then we're going to use WordPress. WordPress is a content management system, which is living on the server, and you just put the content on there and change it live on the server on the website. So you don't have a physical website on your machine anymore. And we're looking into that one. And then we have our final project. Down here in the table, I have when we all have the classes, and you see the different blocks we're having. First, we have HTML and CSS. HTML is the hypertext markup language, which the website is written in. Let's say HTML is like the bones in your body, and CSS, the cascading style sheet, is to make it pretty. So the one is the structure, and the other one is for the looks. Then the second block here will be the Bootstrap block, as I just mentioned before. Then the JavaScript block, WordPress block, and then within the WordPress one, we also have our final project, where you can pick if you want to use HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, or WordPress to make a website. And that's so far from me from the syllabus. Any questions on that one? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not used to talk so much anymore. You guys want to just jump in and do a little bit? Let's ease into that.
Sure.
So let's close that one. So everyone except one had Dreamweaver, right?
I don't think I purchased it yet.
Sorry?
I don't think I have it.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
Is it on Creative Suite?
Yeah, it is in the Creative Suite.
Okay. I would have to open that up, yeah.
Okay, yeah. If you don't have it, you have any text editor in it, or you guys want to download Visual Studio Code for the moment?
I found it. I have it.
Okay. So, who doesn't have it?
I purchased Adobe Suite and I'm trying to work on it, but something's wrong with my computer. Can I leave and restart it and see if that
sure,
works?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Okay,
I hate to
no
be that
problem.
person on the first
So
day.
that's the first day, so we're trying to get everything working, what we need.
Okay, peace guys, I'll be back.
Okay.
I'm installing it right now.
Okay. Oh, we have time. Kom her, geschwind. Felix. Felix. Kom her, geschwind. I'm sorry, guys. So. Good? Yeah. Yeah. So, that was my son. You guys, you all have somehow set up where you can see my screen and your screen big enough so you can work with the text that you're typing. Like I mentioned in the email,
Yeah.
would be nice if you have 2 monitors, or I don't know, an iPad where you see my screen and you work on your computer.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Because I tested with my son and kind of look too small if you just have a small screen. But if you don't see anything, or it's too tiny, or I scroll too fast, just yell at me.
Professor, it's asking to choose what type of workspace we should use, whether it's a developer or standard one. Do you have a preference?
No.
Whichever is fine. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that we're deep into developing and need to have servers and stuff
Okay.
connected. Yeah, no, just whatever basic setting you're getting there is well fine for us.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
I made it back. So sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So I give you guys a couple more minutes, and then I just continue with explaining you stuff. So it's nothing you have to physically type now at the moment, just explaining the basics. But I give you a couple more minutes. Okay, so let's just slowly continue with I'm giving you a tour into Dreamweaver for you guys to see where stuff is. So top here is the menu bar. Here are most of the settings, and you can find stuff if you want to edit it, or if you don't see something, it's under Windows that you can then under the drop down and activate to be seen or not. But the basic stuff is usually bad. Yeah, like with Dreamweaver, everything can be done in at least 3 different ways. So this is one way where you could add something to the pages if you use insert and then an HTML snippet or form or bootstrap for later, but we don't need that far. Here on the left side, there are some other ones where you can quick comment stuff out or in, and we will not use that either. Here is the main window, where then will be probably on the top, you will see a preview of the website, and on the bottom, you will see the code you're typing. On the right side here, I have my file system here open. Like if I'm selected a folder, it previews me all the files there in the folder. I could also go to the CSS Designer, which then helps me to create CSS rules. But I want you guys to actually write the stuff yourself, because that's the way you learn quickest. How it's written, what attributes you have to use, instead of having the machine do it for you. So let me just open one file. So if you have a file open, you will see the name of the file up here in the top left corner. And then if a file has other files connected to that one, like if you have the HTML here and you have your CSS rules somewhere else and you link that, then you will see the source file and the connected files here, and you can just click here to get to the next file and back. So you don't have to open every file by hand from the side menu. So if Dreamweaver is clever enough to know which files are connected to that file, and it opens that in the background for you as well. Then the bigger block here is when we start using media queries, when we start designing websites for different screen sizes. Most of you will look at the website at the phone or a tablet, laptop, or a giant monitor, Jumbotron or something. So you can design websites differently for different screen sizes. And you don't have to make static designs for every screen size, because there are so many screen sizes you can. Technically you can, but it's really not clever to do a design for every screen size. So you put them all together, and then with media queries, you let the browser decide in which screen size he is, and then display it accordingly to its screen size. It's called mobile design. Up here, which is white here at the moment, that's your preview, what you would see in the browser. And down here is actually the code we're typing. You could change that to only code view here with these 3 buttons, or with the split view, you have them split. And then you have also here live, and I can see them. Well, give me a second. I have to move that to the side. The live view, which is kind of like a preview for the browser, but it's not 100% the same, so don't get tricked by that. And you could also go here into a design view, which is kind of like a live preview of the website without using JavaScript in it and stuff. So I'm basically never in design view, always in live view or in split view like this. yeah, let's continue more with the code. I'll make it bigger for you guys. So, and actually, let me open a brand new file. So if you say new file, you get to new document. And for the moment, we just use HTML, no framework, and just create. And then you get a plain HTML file with nothing in it. For an HTML file, the first line always is the doc type. So it's let me go back one step. So elements in HTML are called tags, and they're always within the less than and greater than brackets. So here we see an HTML element, a head element, a meta element or meta tag, a title tag, and the body element. And the first line is always an exclamation mark doc type of HTML. That tells the browser, here comes actually a document, not a just plain code file, and it's written with HTML. If you just have HTML here, it says it's HTML5, so the latest version. We had 4.1 and 3 and something before, which had to be way more strict and couldn't do everything that we can do now with HTML5 and CSS3. So if you just say HTML, the browser knows it's the latest version. Then we have an HTML tag, which starts like this with a less than sign HTML and the greater than sign. And it is closed here at the last line with the same tag, just with a / before you write the first characters inside the tag. All except 3 or 4 elements in HTML always have these two tags, an opening tag and a closing tag. Yeah, there's really only less than a handful elements that don't need a closing tag. And within the HTML tag, we have a head tag and the body tag. The head tag is where you have instructions for the browser in there. Like for example, here, the meta character set said we're using UTF-8. It's one character set that is commonly used in Western nations. You can have other meta tags, which we'll use then later with Bootstrap. But here you instruct the browser, oh, let's use UTF-8. Then you have the title tag, which at the moment says untitled document. This is where you give your web page a name, and this is the name that's then displayed in the browser tab. Let me preview that for you. So if you look here to the side, it says untitled document, and this is exactly what you see here, untitled document. So if I would change that to something else and save that when I preview, you see that we changed this here. This is the title. This is also important if you bookmark a website. This is what you see then in your bookmark. So all instructions you want to give to the browser are within the head tags, and then everything you want to have the user see is within the body tags. So in here, never put anything between the head and the body. There is no neck for HTML websites. So it's the head or the body. So every content you want to have the user see, you put into the body tag. Let's just type 1 so you see something. Okay, so H1, that would be a heading 1. And this is what you see here. So voila, we have our first website. Any questions so far? No. Okay. So then let's start with a couple of elements. So we already saw how elements are written with an opening tag and a closing tag. And we had now the heading 1, which is the headline 1, so the biggest headline. The most important content on your website should be within heading 1. Treat it like a newspaper, the big news headline that should get your attention. That's the one, bold, biggest, on the prime spot that gets your attention. Then for the second most important headline, that would be a heading 2. So it's a little bit smaller, not as powerful as the heading 1, but still powerful. And this can go on till heading 6. So we have 6 different sizes for headings. And you should use them proper, because as I mentioned earlier, the Google search bots that then rank you in the Google listing, they look if your content is also semantically written right. So if the most important part is in heading 1 and then the heading 2 and the regular content is in a paragraph and so on and so on. So they also look for this. So here we have our headline. And regular content would go in a paragraph. And you see also an opening tag and a closing tag. Then if you, for example, want to have a return within a paragraph and you don't want to close a paragraph and make a new paragraph, there is our first tag that only needs an opening tag. That is a BR for break. And as you saw here, the third text gets pushed into the next line. So this is to give structure within an element. Then another one that only needs one is HR for a horizontal rule. And that just is a line across the website. And the last one I want to introduce you right now quick is a block quote. It's not used that much anymore, but it's still used sometimes. So, and this is just block quote. Then you have your test text and you close it again. And a block quote is a little bit indented and has a little extra padding on the sides, on top and bottom, just to stand out a little bit more. This is where you had quotes. If you reference to someone has a poem, you said, oh, this is the poem in there from so on and so on. You would use a block quote for that. So, any questions so far with that? It's pretty easy and light entry, I hope. You also saw that I always write everything in lower cases in HTML. HTML is not really case sensitive, but everything is written in lowercase. questions? You guys want to type a little bit to get used to typing some stuff on your own? No.
I have a question actually.
Yes.
So when you're typing HTML to start the whole thing, does this one block of HTML code count for just one page, or is it for multiple elements of a page?
This is a static page, and everything on the page would be, you mean this at HTML block, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. This would only be once at the website.
Okay.
So this is just for one website. Later then, when we use a CMS and you're really developing stuff, you can have the head, for example, in a different file, and then different body elements in a completely separate file, and then have rules to only use that code block when this case appears, and use a different one when a different case appears.
Okay. Okay.
But not for static sites. It's always one doc type, HTML, and then the head and the body.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
So
2 questions as well.
yes, please.
So, okay, so when you entered the body for line 8, and you know how you're doing like H1, H2, H6 as you're going down, after your block quote, can you go back up in font size?
Oh, sure, but
I know it looks funny, but could you?
You mean if I would type another heading 1 here?
Yeah.
Sure. Sure, that is not the problem. It makes maybe not sense logic-wise how the website is built. If you could have a heading 1, and then you could have multiple headings 2, for example, and then multiple heading 3s within every heading 2 block. Let me show what I mean here. So if I just go down with that. So for example, if I have a heading 1 here and say art class, oops, and then, oops, don't want to show you the quick cuts already. Monday, and then here we have a heading 3, morning, and then, for example, another heading 2, which is Wednesday, and then you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So you could structure it like this. You can also have it just set here as another way of doing it. You have a heading 1, and then you have a heading 2. Oops. And heading 3. So, and then you could style it with CSS to make fonts different sizes. So don't do what I do. This is a bad old method of doing it, but it's now quick for you guys to see. So style. I'll go 4, and then let's copy the whole thing. Yeah, I could resize them as I want, but the structure would be still the proper one with with the hierarchy going down. So you can do a lot with CSS, but if the structure is right, you get beneficial treatment by Google. Second question?
Yes.
Yes.
So you had a horizontal line. I was just plainly curious if you could also do a vertical line.
Not that I know.
Dang it.
Not with just one of these texts. So there's only the horizontal rule.
Okay.
You
Thank
could make that with if you then have different blocks on the website and make a border on one of them. That brings me a little bit to show you something too. So have we still had that one open? So with okay, here. If you're ever in doubt of something, if go on a website and right click on it, and then this menu comes up, and here you can see view page source. So from every website on the web, you can see what their HTML and CSS and JavaScript looks like. And there's also a second important one, it's the inspect one. It's just for fun, let's go to somewhere. CUA. It's a little slow today with all the conferences. And just everywhere on the website, except if there is JavaScript or iframe something, then you don't get that menu. So you just move to the side a little bit. Yeah, this is, for example, I had one here. Yeah, view page source. If you click view page source, you will see all the HTML that is on the website, of any website in the web. Even here with some script, with some JavaScript in it. And here's a form. And here we have a navigation. So everyone can inspect everyone's website. Okay. And if you are curious for a certain element, or why you're trying to, I don't know, want to have that one background black, but it's still blue and you don't know why, right mouse click on it and say inspect. And where is mine coming up here? Here on that side. And then you get the inspector. You probably will see it this way. So here on the left side, you have the HTML, and here on the right side, you have the CSS for that element that you selected. If you hover here over other elements, you see them highlighted in the upper part here. So you could go to every single element that you want. Let's click on that one here, inspect. See, then this line is highlighted. We see it's an A tag, which is an anchor tag, a link, and the location where it's pointing to, and I can go and see what's in there. And technically, I could also change it, but it's only for you inside. So it's not whatever I change here is not permanent changed on the website. So you can play around whatever you want. And you could put some styles away or put them on. You see how it's changing up there, the whole styling here. But what I wanted to show you guys is here on the bottom. Here is the box model of every element. So every element has a box model. And that just means every element has a width and a height, some padding inside, a border, and the margin to its neighbor element. So in here we have the blue, that's the box itself where the content is inside. And if it would have a fixed width and height, you would see it instead of auto by auto, you would see some pixels or whatever the dimensions are. Then you see the ones I'm highlighting now is the padding. So, which is between where your content is and where the border is. So you could make the element on the inside of the border bigger. Let's just give here something. Let's give here 50 pixels. Maybe I have to write pixels there, px. And we would see that now inside here, within that element, we had, it even wrote it here for us, padding top 50 pixels. So if I'm hovering it, you guys see that the green here is extending up here. So that's the padding inside. Then we have a border, so we can give an element in border, and with everything I can just say a top border or a right border or a bottom border or a left border. I can do the same with the margin, and I can do the same with padding. So I can say, for example, oh, I just want to have a bottom border, something ugly, 5 pixels, solid black. And I should have a bottom border. It's not the best example here on our website, but I would have a border there. And then margin is the space between that element and the next element. If it's left or right or bottom or top. I can give every side a different width or space, or reduce it than what it's given by the browser by default. I can change all of this, and for every element. So every element has a box model where I can have these settings I can change. I know you cannot think about what to do with them by now, but I just want to have you the seed of the idea planted. So for later that you know why something is doing where and what it's doing. And especially then when we're working with the CMS, with WordPress, this is a very good way to actually change stuff or test if we're triggering the right CSS rule or the right element. And we could even rewrite something here just for fun. 40 or 3000. You see, I changed it. So you can put stuff in and out and test stuff within the browser without having to fear that you corrupt your website. Because as soon as you hit refresh or go to the next one, the browser loads a fresh sample from the server and all your settings are gone. Any questions on that one? Okay. With the inspector, you can then do a lot more. When we're going to JavaScript, we can even write JavaScript in here. And we see that the CUA website has some problems on the back end. And you also can go to every file that's connected with that one and look at the code. So nothing is private on the web, except when you're using server-side language, like for example, PHP, where you're not writing code for the browser, where you're writing code for the server. But that's a whole different ballgame. So everyone good so far? Okay. Okay, then I have a little interactive, I can see that behind the camera, interactive thing for you guys. And if you look in the files I gave you, I always have them numbered, as you see here, 1 or 2, 3, up till 23 for HTML. And I always have a start, and most of the time I have a finished version too. So if you really screw up, you can look at the finished version so you don't get lost or miss something. Yeah, you all have Dreamweaver. So if you're trying to make a website or develop a website in Dreamweaver, something that I didn't show you before is you should always create a site in Dreamweaver. Is here under site, new site. Okay. And sorry. And then you get here, you can name it. This will be then displayed here. It's just for you. And then you point it to the right folder where you want to have the files in, or where you have your assets already in there on your machine. And you point it to that folder. And then Dreamweaver creates a little snippet for itself that says, oh, that website that you're going to build is within that folder. And if you're breaking a link in there, Dreamweaver will warn you that, oh, you deleted the link or you moved the file to a different folder that will break a link. Should I update all the links? And so Dreamweaver is trying to help you with all the files connected in that site. So for every new website you're building, I would recommend creating a site.
Can you go over that again? I'm not getting the same option.
Okay, so before you start, probably you have created a folder on your machine. Let's say something here, like I have here on desktop. I create a new folder. I don't know. Put one Angular. Okay, so I have my Angular folder created. And for example, I know I need these 5 images. I would put them already in there. So, but then now for Dreamweaver, I go here under site, new site. Okay.
Oh, I see it now. Yes.
Okay. And then you can call this whatever you want. Angular 2, I think, for me. And then you go and look for the right folder and then save it. You can also connect to GitHub here. Okay, for me, it's now creating that site. Guess I have a lot of files in there. Ooh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, we're not doing that. Okay, but then you have your site in here, and you have your files that are in that folder already in there. And if you create, for example, a new file here, and it's linked to something inside that folder, and you move that one into a different folder, then Dreamweaver says, you really want to move that into the other folder because it would break a link. Should I update the links for you? It's very helpful because Dreamweaver tries to keep you in the clear with all these changes that you're doing. So sometimes that's why links breaks, and this is where Dreamweaver tries to step it up for you. Here. Okay, so if you guys could open number 2 text, so that file here, it's just a plain text file. but I would love you guys to create an HTML file and put these in and make that one, for example, a heading 1, the next one a heading 2, this one a paragraph, another paragraph, and just use that file and write your HTML code in there and then save it as an HTML file. Just so you get your fingers on the keyboard a little bit. And scream and yell at me if you have trouble.
Where do I go to find this link for number 2?
Did you download the files I sent you from the Dropbox folder?
Where in the Dropbox? Because I just see HTML and the syllabus.
Yeah, within the HTML are all the files I'm having here on the right side.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about the paragraphs, usually you can do it in one paragraph, but is it better to do it in separate?
It depends how you want to have them displayed on the website. So HTML or the browser does not care about white space. So it cares about one white space, like here between the words, for example. But if I make that, does not matter or is any different to the other one, or even in here. So the browser will only use this as one space bar. So in order to get the structure on the website, you put different paragraphs in paragraph text. That's why they're actually called that way. Or use BR, so breaks, which is hard returns within the text. If the text, for example, would be too long, or you want to shorten it on a specific word, whatever the layout then for the page would be.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Okay. let's not forget.
Do we just continue to put all the body paragraphs for each line in the text in P brackets?
All the
So,
mean-
so yeah, the one starting with Austria is a landlocked country. We'd start that with the P. Okay, the next one,
Yeah.
yeah, we'd start with the P.
yeah, every paragraph should have its own paragraph tag around it.
Okay.
When you're
And-
going through the code, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
When you're going through the code and I'm putting in like the title and everything, it doesn't allow me to have a split screen between the code and like what it would look like.
Oh, okay. When you open the text2.txt file, it's actually a text file, not an HTML file. So go and save it under File, Save As. And if I do that one again, and just replace the txt on the right side of the dot with HTML. And then you tell Dreamweaver that it's actually a HTML file and not a text file. Then you immediately get the color coding and all the other beneficial things.
Awesome, thank you.
How's the code for the line?
For the horizontal rule?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just here. So just HR for horizontal rule, and that's everything you need.
Thank you.
Yeah, HTML is not a hard language. There are only, I think, 28, so less than 30 tags you actually encounter. So it's not very complex thing, but then with CSS combined, CSS can get a little wordy and tricky, but you can do a lot of stuff with it. And what I wanted to point out here, between official and language, for example, we're here. You see, there are no more than one spaces. So as I told you, the browser or HTML does not care about more than one space. somewhere. So here is a lot of space. There's nothing. Something else you might have encountered here in my code is that the ampersand sign is red in here, which usually the Dreamweaver tries to tell you that there's something wrong. It is still displayed proper, but it's actually wrong, because the ampersand is part of some shortcode, and whenever you want to write the ampersand, or for example, if you want to write less than within the text here, so let's say I want to write less than 50, it writes it, but it is not right. The browser thinks there's something wrong with it, especially if you write P or something in it. Then the browser does not understand that you mean it should display that one here. Instead, you have them to use the shortcodes for special signs, and that is ampersand less than semicolon, and the other one will be ampersand greater than, and then it would display actually what you mean there. And the same is for the ampersand. So because here the ampersand is the start of that short code, it thinks here's something else coming. But you could actually write, what I have here, the hashtag 38 semicolon. That is actually the real ampersand sign. So there are certain things that you have to write a little different, because otherwise the browser might understand them wrong. But this is one of the rare cases where that happens. But in order to know that this can happen, and now you know why it is acting weird, and you can look up what the design you're trying to write is in the shortcut. There are lists on the web for that. For example, for the copyright sign, it's ampersand. You can even write a copy and the semicolon. Oops, with one C. And then you have the copyright sign. So you created your first website. Let's talk about some other things. We can highlight stuff, like, for example, you see that the headlines are in a bolded font. We can bold elements, and for that we can get in here and say strong for if I want to make something bold, and close strong. And then we see that Austria, for example, is bolded. You could also use, what was the old one? B for bold, which does the same for us healthy individuals. But if someone reads the website with a screen reader, so if someone has a problem with eyesight, he would hear a difference. This old bold should not be used anymore. You should use strong if you want to highlight something. Because if you go over with a screen reader, then the voice of the screen reader says something stronger that's within these tags, so that the person would know that this is highlighted somehow. Okay. Also, for if I want to put something in italics, it's EM for ampersand. So if I want to have it here, that here, for example. And that also brings us to nested tags. So so far we only had tags that where the whole content was between the opening and the closing tag. And now we're having a tag inside of a tag. This is, there's one rule you have to follow. So for example, let's put, where am I now? Here. If I have a paragraph and I have test my, okay, and if I would write proper, okay, so I have my paragraph here. And I want to make something strong. Then I will close it. So whatever is opened first gets closed last. Okay? So I cannot do paragraph strong and then close it as paragraph and then strong. This is wrong, as you see here highlighted. The one that's opened first have to be closed last. Okay.
Okay, I have a very strange question.
Yeah.
But in C#, you can make little comments. Can you do that the same without affecting the code?
Comments, yes.
Yeah.
We will see 3 different types of comments. So HTML comments are opening like this with less than an exclamation mark and 2 minuses. Then you type whatever you want to write in here, and then 2 minuses and the greater than sign. That's a comment in HTML.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So you can, or actually when the site gets more complicated, you should comment stuff in there, especially when we are then using Bootstrap, where we're using a lot of divs that they're opening and closing. So you have, for example, like 5 or 6 divs that close in a row. It helps if you comment them which one it is that you're closing, because otherwise you can get confused which one you're actually in right now. So then we can put title attributes in tags as well. So let's put a title here. So attributes are additional information within an element. For example, here I put an title attribute into the heading 1, and then I can say anything. Austria is if I would write better. Oh, I just hurt my finger last night, so I'm writing really bad. So, and then as if I'm, which one, where is it? Heading 1. So if I'm hovering over it, I see the title attribute highlighting something here. So attributes are always in the opening tag. There are multiple attributes for every tag that you can put in there. Title is not used very often, but it's a nice example because you immediately see something that's happening there. Earlier you saw me using the style attribute, which I told you not to use anymore, because we would do that with CSS. But that's how I change the color. And yeah, we're going slowly, step by step, whenever we need them, through them. Don't want to push everything on you already. So we're having these. Let's put an image in here as well. Let's pick a spot here between the two paragraphs. In order to put an image there, we need an image tag, and it's called img for image. And image is also one of these self-closing tags, is what I call it. They don't need a second closing tag, so it's closing with itself. So that would be all for the image, but we have to tell where the browser gets the image from. So we need an attribute in there. And that one is src for source. And then let's go here into the images I sent you with that one. Images, and choose the Austria map. And voila, we have an image here. And if you're wondering why there's so much Austria on that side, I'm from Austria. So with the image tag, we're telling the browser that there is an image coming. With the src, with the source, we're telling it where it comes from. And here we see that I'm having some folder rules in there. So my images are not in the same folder than the file is in. It's in the image folder. So I have to tell it, go to the image folder, and in the image folder, there is that image with that name.
So,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but basically, does that mean we can just write what image we want and it would find it without us trying to find it in the folders?
If it's
I mean, if it is simple enough like that.
Yes.
If we write images and then also a map GIF, it will just come up like that instead of
if the
searching
image is in that folder, it will just take it. Yes.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If it's not, then you get,
Tough luck.
an empty square. Yeah. So this is if you want to go one image deeper from where you are. When I'm, for example, have to go one folder deeper. If I want to go one folder out first, I have to say ... So that means I'm going one folder back to one level higher, and then go there and use the image folder and go there. That's why I'm not having the image anymore, because I tell the browser to go wherever I am now, go to its parent folder, and then there look for an image folder to go deeper. So it's image would be a sibling folder, but for me here, it is a child folder. And for images, we should always have 3 more things there. One very important one for section 508 is the alt tag, so ALT. And that is for the alternative text. So if someone is, for example, blind, you write here what you would see on the image, like map of Austria. So that would be read to a blind person with a screen reader. And if you have big images and a slow internet connection, you might have seen that a website loads and then an image comes up and the rest of the content jumps down. In order to prevent that, you always can give the image a width and a height. And I don't know what that actually is, but I can resize it here too, which is a very bad way to resize your image. Because like here, you can distort the whole page. But if you know your screen, your image size, you can tell the browser, even if the image is too big and slow to load, that what size the image will be, so the browser does not have to recalculate the website when the image comes up finally. So it already knows, oh, the image will be, in our case, 500 pixels by 500 pixels. So it just leaves that space empty for the picture. So you don't have the jumping content anymore. But as you see, you can also resize an image. What you should not do, you should that in Photoshop and save it in the size you want to use, and then put it there. Because you can have, with the new cameras, you can have a 5,000 by 3,000 pixel image, which is humongous for the internet to download if you have a slow internet connection. But you actually don't need that much quality of an image for a website. So you're just stressing the browser, the internet connection, and the patience of your customer by having ginormous pictures. So let me get rid of that here, at least one of them, so it looks proper. Any questions to that? No, okay. Let's make a link, because it's not a website till you have a link in there, right? So links are not done with the tag link, because that's for other occasions, but it's done with an anchor tag. We saw that earlier, it's an A. And then you write in the text you want to see as clickable text. So this is a link, and then you close the anchor tag. And by the way, this is a very bad text for a link, where it's exactly like, oh, click here. You should describe what's behind the link. So, and in order to make the link work, we need attributes, because we have to tell the browser where it should go. This is done with the hypertext reference, href, not with the source, because we are not sourcing another file, we are referencing another location. So, and then you would type any location you want to put in there. You can go to another location or page on your own website. Actually, you can go on another paragraph if you show you guys how to do it later. So within the same page, you can go somewhere. You can go to another page of your website, or you can go to a completely different website. Like, for example, HTTP. Or FAT, the Austrian TV station. Okay, so if I click here, I would go to the Austrian TV station. Let's preview that in the browser. So if I click here, I go to a completely different website. So, but there are other attributes we should use if we're going to a different website. So if I'm going within the same website, I don't have to put anything else there. If I'm going to another website on my, on another page on my website, I don't really have to put anything else in there too. But if I'm going to an external website, I would always use a target attribute. And in there, I would use the _ blank, which tells the browser when you click that link, open a new browser tab. So you're not losing your visitor from your own website. So that tab stays open, and you just open a new browser tab for the user. So if the user doesn't want to have to read the other page, he can actually just go back to your browser tab and continue browsing your website. Because as we've seen before, our website gets pushed away and the new website comes in. Okay. Everyone good so far? Okay. Otherwise, yell at me if I'm too fast or something. Okay, so then now let's start a little bit with some styling as well. Without style, which, okay, let's open number 3, start. So we're actually done with that one. Camera exactly there. So number 3, start. So here I prepared already a little website for you. We're having our doc type HTML, we're having a head and the body. Then here I have something like a list of content, heading 1, and then different paragraph with different text elements in there. And the first 2 I made bold, and the other one I made ampersand. And the bold ones going then later to the heading 2s, and the italic ones go to here a little more down to the heading 3s. Okay. And now we're trying to make links within the website, and then we're also trying to start with classes and IDs for styling something with CSS. So it's the next big step. If I wanna put something, a reference to something in here, I would go to the heading 1, so the target I wanna go to, and give that one an ID attribute. Okay, and let's call it climate, because it's easier to find. Okay, so we see that this headline then here is the same like here in our list of content. And in our list of content, we can then give that one an anchor tag, because we want to have the user jump down on our website to the headline if he clicks this one here. So, but to work, we have to put the hyperreference in. Reference. Okay, and now we're not pointing to some external website, we're pointing to a place within our website. And actually we want to point exactly to that heading 2 with the ID of climate. We have to tell the browser that this is where we want to go. And for IDs, you always use the hashtag or the #, and then whatever I wrote within the quotes. So here, climate. Okay. And let's preview that. Okay, see now climate here is highlighted as a link. And if I click on that, it jumps down on the page till this one is the highest element on the page. Did everybody see how that worked together? Okay. Here. Because I would love you guys to put the other heading 2 with an ID and link that ID here with history and the other heading 3s with the other 4 ones. All good?
I think I've done something wrong because it doesn't come out as a link to click on
Okay.
for some reason. Like,
Okay, you have the anchor tag with the href in there,
yep.
and then the pound sign and whatever you
Oh,
call it.
yeah, I think the pound sign, yeah, the hashtag, yeah.
Okay, and then the closing of the anchor tag.
Yeah. Let's try again. No, it still doesn't work.
Okay. So look at my example here. So the less than sign, an A for the anchor tag, space, href equals quote, then whatever you call it, quote again, less than sign, greater than sign, and then the closing of the anchor tag, and then the closing of the italic.
Yeah, maybe the closing is something wrong. Let's just try. Oh yeah, the closing is wrong. Yeah.
Is it working now?
Just let me rewrite it. Yeah. Save. Nope.
You have a mix of double and single quotes.
No.
You have a space.
Oh no, that should be.
You have a space between the href and the equal sign or somewhere there.
No.
My camera again.
Can you show me how? Oh yeah, no, I see it. I see it.
So remember the order is important. So if you have the EM open first or the strong or whatever, then you have to close it last.
Yeah, and it's closed last.
Okay. And then we have the A, one space, href equals quote and quote whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have that one here too.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the closing with the forward slash.
Yeah.
Forward slash and then the A.
Yeah, and then greater than or lesser, yeah.
Yeah. Then it should work. Are you looking here in Dreamweaver?
Yeah, it doesn't come out like
Okay. Click here once.
that.
Just
Yeah.
if you click in here once, then the whole preview gets updated. So maybe you didn't see it that. Did it get now?
Nope.
You want to send me a screenshot?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Although I don't know how to do it. I can show you on camera if that works.
Yeah, let's try.
Oops.
Hey, Christina, I'm sorry. I am
Yeah,
getting
that
a
doesn't
ton
work.
of feedback from your microphone.
Sorry?
I'm getting a ton of feedback from your microphone. Like it's like kind of.
Oh, really?
Sounds, yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah, actually that is. Thank you.
Screenshot. Yeah, let me try with the screenshot. It's gonna take process. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, usually it's only one wrong letter or space somewhere.
I mean, yeah, been there, done that, but it doesn't stop being annoying. Then probably it's gonna be a dot or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I'm in two separate devices, I have to like resend myself the photo.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, I would just send it in the Zoom chat.
Oh, that one, I'm not sure it works.
Let's see.
Yeah, I haven't gotten anything.
I'm back. Sorry, my computer is not the best right now.
Okay. You know, let's make a 5-minute break while you try to send the file to me to look quick. So if someone needs to go for a restroom break or something, and then.
All right.
Okay.
It should be uploaded on Zoom right now, but I'm fine with a break.
Okay. So let's make a 5-minute break. Let's meet at 8:35. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay, let's continue. So for this exercise, we used the attribute of ID for identification of an element. And IDs are very powerful, but also very limiting at the other side. So as every ID, it should be unique on the website. So you don't want to have a second one with your passport, right? So your own ID should be unique. So the same is for a website. You can only use one ID once on a website. So you cannot say, oh, I want to have this heading 2, give the ID of climate, and this paragraph also has an ID of climate. So it can only be used once on the website. On the other side, it's a very pointy thing. So if you grab the one ID, you know you're only getting that one element. You're not getting more than what you want. But if you want to have more, there is a second attribute you can use, and that one is called class. Class. And a class can be used multiple times on a website. So I can give the first paragraph here a class of, you can name them whatever you want. It should not start with a number or with special signs like an @ sign or underscore. Actually, underscore would go, but you get the idea. It should be a describable name, but it should not start with a number, and there are no capital letters and no @ signs, no $sign and stuff. So let's call these, I don't know, background. So, and if I want to use a different element too, I could go here and give that one also a class of background. Okay. Or even that ampersand here. Class. So I can apply a class multiple times on the website. So, and I even can have an element who has a class and an ID. So just to have everything crammed in once. If I have 2 classes for one element, I just would put a space and then write the second class in there. So you don't have to write the attribute itself multiple times. So far it doesn't do anything on the page, but if we write our first CSS, and let's do that here in the head. So after the title, give yourself a blank line. And then we use the style at the tag. Okay. Now we can use the IDs and classes for styling stuff. We can also use the text itself, but if, for example, as a big example for you, if I use first in CSS, let's start very in the beginning. I always forget that. So the first stuff you write here is the selector. Okay. And then within two curly brackets, you have a property and the value pair. Prop, colon, and the value. Okay. And the semicolon in the end. So this is how how a CSS rule looks like. Okay. It's always which element you're selecting and then what you're applying to it. Okay, and now let's actually type a real one. Let's say, for example, you want to have all headings one, I don't know, font color of yellow. So you would say heading one. So with that, I grab every heading one on the website with the curly brackets. And then we say for the font color, we just say color. Then colon. And let's make it easy in the beginning. What did I say? Red, right? No, yellow. Yellow, semicolon. So, and immediately you see every heading one on the website is yellow. We only have one, so you don't see that too much. So let's change that to a heading 2. And now all the heading 2s are yellow. That's the power of CSS by writing less stuff to do more things. What if I don't want to use every element or every heading one? So before we said we had the ID where we said, oh, only that element with the ID of climate I want to do something different. So if I want to target an ID, same as in the anchor tag, I use the # first, and then climate, the curly brackets, and then we had back. No, we color. Let's stay with that one. Red. So now immediately you see that this one is red. And we only have one ID of climate there. So even if I put the ID of climate somewhere else, I immediately get a warning sign here. Dreamweaver is nice to us and actually does it anyway, but the browsers will not be so nice to us. Okay. So IDs only ones at the website. But if I want to do it to multiple ones, we have a nice class here. It's called background. In order to target a class, I use a dot instead of a #. So dot background. Oh, I even wrote it wrong somewhere. Somewhere. Okay. Also the curly brackets again. And because we called it background, we should actually change the background. So background hyphen color. Silver. So, and we see immediately that we have multiple elements with class of background. Oh, here's the wrong one. And all of them immediately get the silver background. This is where you can write one class and apply it to multiple elements if you want to have the same style for a block of elements on the page, for example. And we also had one element here that had two classes. So that one would be second. What are we giving that one? Font size of 18 pixels. Let's be generous. Okay. So what happens if I have to apply multiple properties to one selector? So we always finish the one thing we want to change with a semicolon, and then we just let's do it a nice styling. So we would then just go in the next page and apply the next rule. And give it a different font family. And semicolon. So now we have two CSS rules for background. We can also give us a third one. Something that really pops out. And that's how you would write multiple CSS rules for one element. Everyone good so far? I know we're doing a lot of basic stuff today. Okay. Okay. So to explain it a little more, to apply CSS rules to our website, we have three ways of doing that. Earlier, you saw me putting a style attribute into the tag, where I said, please don't use that anymore. That's old style. And especially if you have a bigger website and someone says, oh, I don't want to have that element blue anymore, I want to have it green, you would have to go to every single element and change the color or whatever it is to change one by one. So that's why it's better to use classes for that kind of work. And then for CSS, really a nice written stuff, style, you can have a style nest here. It's what we call style nest in the head of the document. That's actually called also an internal style sheet. So because it's internal on your page. Or you can have an extra file, like instead of an HTML file, you have .css as a file. And then you can have it link in the head. So for that, you would call link. And then you would go with href, because here you're referencing again. Do I have a CSS style somewhere? Yeah, here. Okay. Then you need at least two other attributes for the link. So the one is type, and this is text CSS, and then you have to tell the browser which relationship that file has to the page it's on. So this one is rel for relationship, and this one is called style sheet. So with that, you would put an external file into your page, and as soon as I did that, you see here that this here changed. So here we have now a source code and the styles for HTML3. So if I just click here, I see the CSS file that I wrote for you guys earlier. And the source code is where we've been in before. Questions to that? No. One other basic to HTML, to the browser. Whenever the browser reads a file, it always reads it from line 1 to the last one, line by line, from top to bottom. The same is within the CSS. So if you have a style for heading 2 here, for example, at the top, here, style for heading 2, and then at the bottom you have another role for heading 2 that would target the same thing, like here, for example, color is brown, and then down there would say color is red, then the one closer to the bottom wins. Okay, so you can cancel yourself out. And the same is with putting the styles into your page. Here, the link for the style sheet is in line 6, and the other styles are below that. So these ones would win over these ones. Okay. And if I would write one here within the tag where I said you shouldn't do it, that one would overrule the other one. So at the closer a style rule gets to actually where it's applied, the more powerful is it. Okay? Does it make sense? Okay. Okay, let's have a little fun with colors. So let's put that one away. Let's open number 4. Start. Okay. Everyone there? Okay. So here we see I have already some half written styles in here, and we have a body tag with something new for you guys, div elements. So div elements are empty containers. So how do I explain that quickly? Remember we had a heading 1 tag earlier with the heading. So if I have 2 words, heading, okay. And let's put a second one here. Oops, that was too much. So when I only wanted to get the heading 1, I could put a class or something in here, right? Or only the heading 2, I would put a class here. What if I want to grab both of them at the same time, or 3 or 4 or 5? So then I would put a div container around them. Okay. Think about as a lasso. Okay. So where you get more than one tags. That's what the div is used for. And if you want to grab something just inside of one tag, that there you use a span tag. Okay, so if it's bigger than one tag, it's a div. And if it's smaller than a tag, it's a span. Both doing the same things, yeah, just selecting one thing for you. Okay. That was just the explanation. So here I created a couple of divs, and this ampersand NBSP means non-breaking space. So usually if there's an element where there's nothing in it, the browser just doesn't populate it. It says, oh, there's nothing in it, I don't need to do anything with it. But if you put the ampersand non-breaking space in there, then you tell the browser, oh, there's nothing in it, but there is something in it that I won't have you display that element anyway. And I just gave them different IDs so that we can target them a little easier. And then from heading from the div with the ID number 5, the heading, the other heading, and number 7, they're already populated here because they already have background color. So, and the only thing I did here with the divs, I gave them a width and the height so they will be displayed. So if you click here, you actually see that these divs are there even if they're empty, okay? So, and now we have different ways of giving colors. The first one we saw already where we just named the colors. There are, I think, 16 colors you can name by name, like red, green, blue, silver, black, white. We won't do these anymore. Then you can give it in ASCII code. This starts with the pound sign again, and then you need a series of 6 numbers or letters. So for example, A5 to D2F. It's kind of reddish color. So always the first 2 are grouped together, the middle 2 are grouped together, and the last 2 are grouped together. Okay. So, and for example, white would be 6 Fs and black would be 6 zeros. You don't have to remember that, but it's just with the set of 16 numbers. So from 0 to 9, or actually from 1 to 0, and then A to F. These are the 16 numbers you can choose for every one of the 6 positions to create a color. Okay. Then the next one is RGB for red, green, and blue. So RGB. And then you need brackets, not the curly ones, the regular ones. And inside you can give it percentages for every color or numbers. So for example, let's pick the first one with 100% for red, comma, 50% for green, and 55%, where's it here, for blue. And then we have this pinkish color. As I said, you also can use full numbers with it, not with percentages. So RGB. And let's go here with the same numbers, but we will get a different outcome. So, okay. this is because we have percentages, and for RGB, the numbers go from 0 to 255. Okay. Then we can also use HSL for hue, saturation, and lightness. This is more coming from the print media people. So HSL, and then we also need the brackets. And here the first one has to be a number, and then we can use percentages or also fixed number. So let's go with 140, 75%, and 54%. And we have this lime color. Okay. Then here for number 5, we already have the background red, but then we can have color roll for the text inside. And for RGB and HSL, we can also use the alpha channel, so a 4th value, to make it transparent or semi-transparent. Let's use the first one here for this one. It's RGB, and then we just add the A for the alpha channel. And let's pick numbers 209, 255, 0, and then the 4th value has to be between 0 and 1. So 1 as fully transparent, fully visible, and 0 as fully transparent. So 0.7. So, and we see that we have the color here, and it's kind of semi-transparent, so we get the red from the background into the font color as well. Okay. And the same can be done with HSL. So we can have HSL and then A for the alpha channel. And let's pick here color 37,99%, 50%, and then 0.8 for the alpha channel. Okay. And then let's make a quick link here in the head to, under the title, to an external CSS file. Okay, so we are getting used to that. Link, href, and our CSS file. Is under styles, and then this one is number 4, so styles for number 4 CSS. Then the relationship is a style sheet, and what was the other one? The type is text CSS. Okay. And with that, we have an image as background. If we want to look at the CSS, here I target the ID of number 7. And then for background, I have a URL which points to the image. And then I have 3 extra attributes here, which is no repeat. That means the background image is not repeating itself horizontally or vertically. Then I align it left and top so that this top corner here is the top corner on the left and top of the image. So you can take the image and align it to the center or to the right or to the left, the top, the center, or the bottom. Then I give it a background size of cover. That means that the background image covers the whole element in it. So even if the image is too small, it stretches it out so it's big enough to cover the whole image, the whole space available. There's also contain, which means resize the image and make it so small that it fits within the given space. So if the image is 500 by 300 pixels, it would make it so small that it would fit between this one and these ones. So it would be a tiny picture of clouds like here. And then I gave the background image color with an alpha channel of half transparent. So you see a little bit of the background through the fonts. Everyone clear? Messed up? Okay. I think that's good for today. Any question from someone? Any things I should do better?
I think it's hard because it's late and there's a lot to learn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot of stuff I'm pushing on you the first couple of days, and then we're playing more with it. When you get more than 4 or 5 elements, you can apply them a little bit and play with them. So we're having that time too. Okay. And everything is in the files. I have a handout. It's called HTML01 or something. And there's pretty much an overview about all the stuff we're going to talk in there. And
even though we're going to have the handout, are we going to have access to any of these recordings for the class?
Yeah, I will try to see what's going on with that, and how we're going that out. Yeah, the handout that's there, I have extra cheat sheets for you in there that you will be able to use within the next few classes, where you then know what you're looking at. I have other PDFs if you're interested to look through stuff too, or if you have questions, send me an email. Happy to talk about that stuff. Other things? No? Okay. Then have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I actually had a quick question.
Yes,
I want to apologize again for my computer. It's just I've been pushing off updates and it finally caught up to me. I couldn't see half of my screen. I'm so sorry.
Sorry for you.
Me too.
Yes.
You didn't say anything like I need 4 test images by the next class period, did you? Or did you just finish going over the syllabus?
I went over the syllabus in the beginning. I can go over it again. Give me a second to find it. Here. Okay. Here. Okay. So if you have questions, just email me here. Okay. Syllabus here. Where's the important stuff? Yeah, we will have 4 projects and the final project and a short test in between. Nothing too crazy. The first project, for example, will be you make an HTML page or website with 3 pages, put some links on it for navigation and some images and some dummy text. I just want to have you work with it. And then the second one, when I introduce you to a framework, you will work with that one a little bit. Then the third one, when I show you guys into JavaScript, you will have a little bit of JavaScript to do to just change something on the website, interactive with the user. So if the user clicks something, you change some text or, okay. This will be the hardest part of the class for most of you, but it shows you the power of all this stuff. And then for the fourth one, we have WordPress, where you can play with a content management system, so WordPress, where it's all the same, but it's used different. It's sitting on the server. The styles and the content will be separate in different tables in the database and not written in an actual file. And the file will then later be assembled by the server. And then here we have the schedule. So the first couple of days we're doing just the HTML and CSS. And next Monday I will assign the first project. By then we will have played enough with it that you at least know what I'm asking you to do. But you see, you have here, what is that? 1, 2, like 3 weeks to finish the first part, where we're still learning HTML and CSS and going through more stuff and playing with it. So you actually know what we're doing. And if you're having too much time, you can do it during class, and then you send me a screenshot or a file if you have an issue, and then we going forward and backward. Then we will have 2 days with a little bit of Photoshop, just to learn how to handle Photoshop, resize images, do a little bit of brush up if there's something not too fancy, because not many people use Photoshop for designing websites anymore. They are using now more XD, Adobe XD, which is actually a real awesome program from Adobe for designing stuff and very easy to learn. And then we're going to Bootstrap and have that for 1, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. There's also a lot of stuff to learn. Bootstrap helps you to do awesome stuff quick and easy, but you have to know the way Bootstrap wants to have the HTML written. So there's a little learning curve to that. We will go over that. And then JavaScript a little bit, where I really just teach you the basics of JavaScript and how to get something from the website. And if something happens, change that back. It's really just the basics. And then WordPress. By that point, you will have confidence in HTML and CSS. And then you will see that most of the stuff can be done by a click of a button with CMS. So it gets easier. And WordPress has already produced themes which are just waiting for you to populate with content, images and content. So it looks better really quick. Therefore, we don't have so many hours in or many days in there, but also the final project at the same time, where you can then decide if you want to do HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, or WordPress. And
so we get a choice for the final.
Sorry?
So we get a choice for the final?
Yes, you can use the one system or the other. If you do a WordPress, I want a little better looking website, and I look more for the design and if the colors work together and the screen font sizes, and you know, if it more appeal. If you do the hard work with HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, I'm not so much concerned about the appeal as long as it works. You know, like I know you know what you're doing, and to make it work is way harder than just drag and drop a picture on the right place. Okay, and then that in between there we have the little quiz. I think that's 20 minutes. My 10-year-old son passed now a couple of times, so it's not hard. And on the last day, I want to show you off how actually WordPress works in the background, you know, PHP. Just so that you guys have seen it once and know about it. And that's pretty much all.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
I'm kind of new to coding, so it's going to take me a little bit, but I think I got most of what you said to us today.
HTML is not so hard. CSS is not so hard. CSS is harder. HTML is not hard because there's always the opening tag, the closing tag, everything extra you put in the opening tag, and there is 4 or 5 elements that don't have a closing tag, like images, the horizontal rule. What else? Yeah. So everything else is pretty much always the same. It just is 28 different tags that you have to see and work with once in the beginning. Forms and tables will be a little harder. The other stuff like paragraphs and headings, and I think you understand already.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. It's one of the simplest languages. And part of now in the beginning is that you lose the fear of typing in a code editor. that you're doing the stuff the first time. You know that when you do something, something happens, but you don't burn up your computer because you're typing code wrong. That's the first couple of classes. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for going over this with me.
No problem. So wish you a good evening.
Of course, you too. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.